Welcome to the SLT lead presentation for the Mental Health and Wellbeing Project. Thinking about the weeks and the months ahead, taking into account everything you've learned over the past few weeks as numbers in your schools have increased from solely those children in emergency provision to what's happening now with more year groups attending, how can you support your children and staff to get back safely from a mental health perspective? In this presentation, I will be talking about two concepts, the recovery curriculum and self-care, and we can discuss these and share ideas on ways forward in the group discussion which follows. A recovery curriculum. Barry Carpenter, Professor of Mental Health and Education at Oxford Brookes University, wrote about a recovery curriculum. He wrote about the losses everyone has experienced due to the strategies in place to combat COVID-19. Those 5 losses of routine, structure, friendship, opportunity and freedom can trigger the emergence of anxiety, trauma and bereavement in any child. He says, the overall impact cannot be underestimated. It will cause a rapid erosion of the mental health state in our children. To combat this, he suggests building a recovery curriculum based on 5 levers: relationships, community, transparent curriculum, metacognition, and space. Relationships. Rebuilding bonds of attachment. Being consistent when explaining clearly the reasons why the temporary changes in relationships had to happen, and being explicit about what has and hasn't changed. Reinvesting time and energy in the rebuilding, not just assuming that it will happen, because these relationships can help cushion the discomfort of returning or of those losses suffered. Community. Understanding the needs of the community, analysing the experiences of your school community during lockdown and how these experiences could be leveraged to ease the return to school and to meet the needs of the community. Transparent curriculum. Most pupils, if they're being honest and reflective, will feel they have not made as much progress in their learning during their time being homeschooled. There will be different feelings about this, probably. Some will be worried or frustrated. Some might be happy they've got away with it. Regarding the lost learning time, Carpenter suggests being explicit with pupils about how the curriculum will help them catch up or plug the gaps, working closely with them to heal what would otherwise be a loss. Metacognition. Recognizing that different learning environments, like those homeschool experiences the children have had over the past 10 weeks, offer, promote, or make available different ways of learning, but that some of these learning styles are not conducive or transferable to learning back in school. Carpenter writes about rebuilding pupils' confidence as learners by recognizing and valuing these new learning styles, but making explicit those skills that are necessary for learning in school and supporting the children to reskill them. Space. To be, to explore themselves, to explore their surroundings. Place to Be has produced a selection of assembly ideas and class-based activities to support your school community as it comes back together. Some of these aspects will be easier or more natural to develop than others. So what can we do to ensure these levers are put to best use? Self-care. In the introduction video, I talked about some of the concerns the children might have. School staff might have similar concerns of their own. And as also mentioned in the introduction, we need to be aware of how we're feeling. And we need to be looking after ourselves so that we're in a good position to deal with these feelings. Self-care is far from self-indulgence, especially among those of us who are committed to serving others. It isn't about being selfish or shirking our responsibilities. It's about figuring out what aspects of our personal and professional lives we have control over and making choices about how to most effectively spend our time and energy. If we don't look after ourselves, we won't be in the best place to look after those who rely on us being our best version every day. There are a lot of resources out there aimed at supporting self-care, but how can you actively promote and encourage it amongst your staff team? Perhaps a catchy acronym like the PIES wheel would be easy to remember, or a model that leans more towards the physical, or the emotional, or the spiritual side. Different teams and individuals' needs will mean there is not a one-size-fits-all approach, but something that staff can easily adopt as a must. Self-care could be categorised into 5 main areas, so how can we support our staff to achieve a healthy balance across these categories? Physical self-care. We know you must take care of your body if you want it to run efficiently. Keep in mind that there's a strong connection between your body and your mind, so when caring for your body, you'll think and feel better too. Physical self-care includes how you're fueling your body, how much sleep you're getting, how much physical activity you're doing, and how well you're caring for your physical needs. When it comes to physical care, you can ask yourself the following questions to assess whether there might be some areas you need to improve. Are you getting adequate sleep? Is your diet fueling your body well? Are you taking charge of your health? And are you getting enough exercise? Social self-care. Socialisation is key to self-care, but often as busy school staff, it's hard to make time for friends and it's easy to neglect your relationships when life gets busy. Close connections are important to your well-being. The best way to cultivate and maintain close connections is to put time and energy into building your relationships with others. To assess your social self-care, consider, do you feel you're getting enough face-to-face time with your friends? What are you doing to nurture your relationships with friends and family? Mental self-care. The way you think and the things that you're filling your mind with greatly influence your psychological well-being. Mental self-care includes doing things that keep your mind sharp, like puzzles, or learning about a subject that fascinates you. You might find reading books or watching movies that inspire you fuels your mind. But mental self-care also involves doing things that help you stay mentally healthy. Practicing self-compassion and acceptance, for example, helps you maintain a healthier inner dialogue. Here are a couple of questions to consider when you're thinking about your mental self-care. Are you making enough time for activities that mentally stimulate you? Are you doing proactive things that help you stay mentally healthy? Spiritual self-care. Research shows that a lifestyle including religion or spirituality is generally a healthier lifestyle. Nurturing your spirit, though, doesn't have to involve religion. It can involve anything that helps you develop a deeper sense of meaning, understanding, or connection with the universe. Whether you enjoy meditation, yoga, attending a religious service, or praying, spiritual self-care is important. So, when considering your spiritual life, what questions do you ask yourself about your life and experience? And are you engaging in spiritual practices that you find fulfilling? Emotional self-care. It's important to have healthy coping skills to deal with uncomfortable emotions like anger, anxiety, and sadness. Emotional self-care may include activities that help you acknowledge and express your feelings on a regular basis. Whether you talk to a partner or close friend about how you feel, or you set aside time for leisure activities that help you process your emotions, it's important to incorporate emotional self-care into your life. When assessing your emotional self-care strategies, consider these questions. Do you have healthy ways to process your emotions? And do you incorporate activities into your life that help you feel recharged? So how do you encourage your staff to apply the principles of self-care to themselves? What do you already do? What might you need to do differently in these strange times? How do you raise staff awareness on the subject without them feeling this is something else they've been asked to do? When we meet for the discussion group on the specified date, I hope it will be a really good opportunity for you to speak with your peers and learn about others' approaches and share what you've done with regard to the recovery curriculum and staff self-care. We look forward to seeing you there.